For more than 30 years, a quiet mansion in Newport Beach stood frozen in time, guarding the private world of one of Hollywood's greatest icons. When John Wayne died in 1979, the doors were locked, his possessions sealed away as if history itself had been paused. Letters, photographs, scripts, and personal artifacts remained untouched, their contents unknown even to those closest to him. It wasn't until 2011 that the estate was finally opened, revealing a stunning archive of over 700 personal items. What emerged challenged the carefully constructed image of the Duke. There were rare memorabilia worth millions, sealed correspondence no one had ever read, and financial records that raised more questions than answers. Behind the confident cowboy and towering screen presence was a far more complicated man. The discovery reignited public fascination, uncovering secrets that reshaped how the world understood John Wayne's life, legacy, and the fortune he left behind. John Wayne's story began far from Hollywood, in the small town of Winterset, Iowa, where he was born Marion Robert Morrison in 1907. A massive newborn weighing over 13 pounds, his birth was so unusual it made local headlines. Even as a child, he seemed destined to survive against the odds. At just 3 years old, he nearly drowned after falling into an icy creek, saved only by a stranger passing by. That narrow escape became an early symbol of resilience. When his father's business collapsed, the Morrison family moved west to California, searching for opportunity. In Glendale, young Marion earned a nickname that would follow him forever. Firefighters noticed him walking everywhere with his dog, Duke, and soon began calling him Little Duke. The name stuck, and Marion Morrison slowly disappeared, replaced by the identity that would one day define an American legend. Growing up in California, Duke dreamed not of movies, but of football. Tall, powerful, and disciplined, he earned a scholarship to the University of Southern California in 1925, joining the Trojans as an offensive lineman. His future seemed secure until a single accident changed everything. While body surfing, he was slammed into the sand by a powerful wave, permanently damaging his shoulder. The injury ended his football career and cost him his scholarship. Suddenly adrift and broke, Duke took any job he could find, eventually landing work at Fox Studios as a low-paid prop assistant. For $35 a week, he hauled furniture and ran errands, watching the film industry from the sidelines. His first on-screen appearance came uncredited, barely visible. But something clicked. The camera fascinated him. Hollywood, once an accident, slowly became his obsession. Throughout the 1930s, Wayne endured years of exhausting obscurity. He starred in more than 80 low-budget westerns, most filmed in just days and quickly forgotten. Despite constant work, fame never came, and money remained scarce. Many nights, his dinner was nothing more than canned beans heated on a hot plate. By 1938, he was close to quitting entirely. That was when director John Ford intervened. Ford saw something others didn't, a natural authority, a presence that felt authentic rather than performed. When Ford cast Wayne in Stagecoach in 1939, studios resisted, demanding a proven star. Ford refused to back down. The gamble paid off. Wayne's introduction as the Ringo Kid, captured in a now legendary close-up, instantly transformed him into a star. With that moment, Marion Morrison officially became John Wayne. Success followed, but not without struggle. Wayne was underpaid and still dismissed by Hollywood's elite, yet his partnership with John Ford reshaped American cinema. Together, they made 14 films over 5 decades, redefining the Western hero. Ford's directing style was brutal, often humiliating Wayne on set to push him further. Wayne endured it all, believing the hardship made him stronger. On screen, he cultivated an image of unbreakable masculinity, refusing roles that showed weakness or moral ambiguity. Off-screen, however, his personal life was far less controlled. He married 3 times and was involved in multiple high-profile affairs. His first marriage ended as fame pulled him away from family life. His second was volatile and dangerous. His third brought companionship but not stability. Behind the cowboy image was a man constantly wrestling with relationships he struggled to maintain. One obsession consumed Wayne more than anything else: the Alamo. For over 15 years, he fought to bring the story to film. When studios hesitated, Wayne risked his own fortune, mortgaging nearly everything he owned to fund the project himself. The production was enormous, with a full-scale replica built brick by brick in Texas. Despite the effort, the film failed to recoup its massive budget, leaving Wayne financially vulnerable for the first time in decades. Then came a far more serious battle. In 1964, doctors discovered lung cancer, the result of years of heavy smoking. Wayne chose transparency, speaking publicly about his illness and urging fans to get screened. Surgeons removed an entire lung and ribs, leaving him in constant pain. Yet he returned to acting within months, refusing to retreat from public life. Cancer returned in the late 1970s, this time attacking his stomach. Wayne kept the diagnosis private, determined to protect his image. His final film, The Shootist, mirrored his reality too closely: an aging gunfighter dying of cancer. Filming was physically brutal, but Wayne never complained. When he died in June 1979 at age 72, tributes poured in from around the world. Yet the greatest shock came from his will. Despite decades as one of Hollywood's highest-paid stars, his estate was surprisingly modest. Even more startling, his third wife received nothing, while his children inherited nearly everything. The sale of his cherished yacht shortly before his death only deepened the mystery. Questions lingered about missing assets and private decisions made in his final years, questions that would resurface decades later. When Wayne's Newport Beach mansion was finally opened in 2011, it revealed a deeply personal archive. Handwritten notes, rare photos, and personal letters painted a more human portrait of the man behind the myth. Some items, including his driver's license, sold for astonishing sums, proving his cultural power had only grown. Yet one sealed letter was never released, its contents remaining unknown. At the same time, renewed attention fell on an old interview from the early 1970s, in which Wayne expressed views that many later found deeply offensive. When rediscovered decades later, the interview sparked widespread backlash and forced audiences to confront uncomfortable truths. Institutions that once celebrated Wayne faced pressure to reconsider how his legacy should be honored in a modern world shaped by very different values. Debates erupted across the country. Should his name remain on public buildings? Should his work be separated from his beliefs? Some argued Wayne was simply a product of his era. Others insisted that influence carries responsibility, regardless of time. Museums removed exhibits. Activists called for renaming landmarks. Supporters defended his contributions to cinema and culture. Even his family stepped into the conversation, offering their own perspectives. The controversy didn't erase his films, but it changed how many people viewed them. The heroic cowboy archetype he embodied now came with an asterisk, forcing viewers to reconcile admiration with criticism. John Wayne became not just a symbol of Hollywood's golden age, but a case study in how history evolves and how reputations are reshaped long after death. John Wayne remains one of the most influential figures in film history, a man whose presence helped define American cinema for generations. His performances, partnerships, and perseverance created an enduring legacy that still echoes through modern storytelling. Yet the man behind the legend was far more complex than the characters he portrayed. The secrets found in his locked mansion, the unresolved family questions, and the controversy surrounding his beliefs reveal a life filled with contradiction. Wayne was strong, flawed, resilient, and deeply human. How he is remembered depends on where one chooses to look, at the films that inspired millions, or at the personal truths that complicate admiration. In the end, John Wayne did what he always did. He rode forward on his own terms, leaving behind a legacy that continues to spark debate, reflection, and fascination.